right, a very, very good morning to you waking up to us. This is the Kokoliriko live on Western Television, starting off from the hour of 7 until 9 o'clock, and after 9 we shall be having the news bulletin in Lubarati, and other programs may also really follow in there. And really that does bring us to the start of the show, and we are to do this with you together. And remember, you too also still can be part of the show. That is also really by commenting. And really for those of you watching us via that is satellite, that's on StarTimes, we very, very much do also really thank you so much and appreciate you. And we say we are back, and that is already a reason as to why you must be excited. And for those of you streaming us online, for instance on Facebook and also really on YouTube and also other social media platforms, for instance X, we also really do not take it lightly, and we are saying we are back. And also really to begin off with the discussions right on that is Western Television, and our number one mandate remains, that is to enlighten the region, and that is a reason as to why you must be very, very much proud. And now today we want to start off the discussions with what is happening at the national scene, where the United Kingdom government has sanctioned Ugandan officials over involvement that is in the Iron Sheet scandal. And we did see, among others, we did see the Speaker of Parliament, that is Right Honorable Anita Among, also really appearing on the list. They are not forgetting Agnes Nandutu and not forgetting Mary Goretti Chitutu, who have also already appeared on the list of those who have been sanctioned in there. And the United Kingdom Deputy Foreign Secretary, that is Andrew Misel, has announced sanctions. That's on Uganda's Speaker of Parliament, Right Honorable Anita Among, and two former ministers, and these include Mary Goretti Chitutu and Agnes Nandutu, over corruption. And it is the first time the British government has used the global anti-corruption sanctions regime on Ugandan officials for their alleged involvements in corruption scandal in there. And Miss Among, Miss Mary Goretti Chitutu and Miss Nandutu will be subjected to travel bans and asset freezes. Also, really, according to that is a Tuesday statement from the UK's government in there. And this is also really something that did also really come in yesterday. Many people did also really did not expect this, but then they had to really receive that is the shocking news of this Ugandan government. And many people have expressed divergent opinions. Others have said this ban is not really as to maybe what we are seeing and maybe what the UK government is seeing, but maybe what the pressure is coming on is over Uganda's stand on some of the laws. And this is what some of the stakeholders are saying. And really, Ms. Among is said to have benefited from the proceeds, and that is the reason as to why she also really has to appear on the list. And Iron Sheet scandal, that is where we did see these people, where these iron sheets were meant to benefit the vulnerable poor of Karamoja sub-region there, but we did see some of the officials also really benefiting very, very much from that iron sheet in there. And over 60% of the poor mineral-rich that is area, that's Karamoja sub-region, that is in the northeastern Uganda, live in poverty, and many suffer from that is devastating impacts of drought, insecurity, and other bad activities. And this is according to what research is showing, and that is also really a reason as to why maybe these people are basing their arguments and basing maybe their concern, that is to ban these Ugandan officials from traveling to that is the UK, and also really also property freeze, where also we may see their properties maybe in the UK being frozen there, and they may not be able to solely access those properties. And that is the reason as to why we may see the pressure mounting very, very much on Uganda. Remember, so many stakeholders have actually expressed divergent opinions, that is over what these people are saying. And according to him, that is the UK is sending a clear message to those who think that benefiting at the expense of others is acceptable, and yet that is really very, very much unacceptable. And the development follows previous UK sanctions under the global anti-corruption sanctions regime, which has targeted individuals involved in serious corruption cases across the world, including that is Bulgaria, Lebanon, and Moldova, Russia, South Africa, South Sudan, and Venezuela, among other countries. And since its introduction, that's in April 2021, the UK has introduced sanctions that's on 42 individuals and entities under this regime globally to combat corruption. And that is already something we are seeing, which is to combat corruption across the globe, not only in Africa, not only maybe in the UK, but all over the world. And the UK sanctions came months after US in May last year revoked Ms. Among's visa over anti-homosexuality bill in there, and that is something we are seeing. And maybe what is the Ugandan government saying in response to this? Many people also really could be interested in what the Ugandan government is responding to that. And UK government should stop meddling in Uganda's politics. That is the response Parliament of Uganda has given. And the Parliament of Uganda has called upon Uganda's foreign partners to respect the sovereignty that is of the East African nation and avoid what it described as temptation to meddle into the country's local politics. And that is also something we are seeing here, which among others include twisting decision making that is to align with their value system, especially on homosexuality. And that's what the Ugandan government is actually responding to. And in a Tuesday statement, hours after the UK government pronounced sanctions on the Speaker of Parliament Anita Among and two former ministers, that is over what we did see here, and the Parliament's director, that's Chris Communications and Public Affairs, Mr. Chris Obore said the iron sheets, which were the gist of the travel bans and asset freezes, have allegedly been used as a rush, that is to conceal the rush, which is already the real unstated but unclear obvious reasons. That's for sanctions, which is also really among others. That is where we did see the Parliament of Uganda taking a stand, that is on anti-homosexuality bill. And UK's Deputy Foreign Secretary Andrew Mitchell on Tuesday announced sanctions against Speaker of Parliament Anita Among, together with the former two other ministers, that is Mary Goretti Kitutu and Miss Agnes Anutu, over corruption following their involvement in a misappropriation, that's of iron sheets meant to benefit the vulnerable poor people of Karamoja sub-region. And that's something maybe the UK government could be also really maybe raise concern over for the ban. But really, so many people are expressing divergent opinions. I don't know what you as the viewer, what you think about it, but definitely you two also still can maybe share your opinions, and we could also really share it with the rest of the viewers on what you think about maybe what the Ugandan government is saying, because if you really see what the Ugandan government is saying, that really this ban is not as a result of what we are saying and maybe what the UK government is saying, but rather it is just because of Uganda's stand, that is on anti-homosexuality bill. And Speaker of Parliament, that's Anita Among, for enacting the law that is against anti-homosexuality, did not also really maybe indicate why, maybe and how the UK government could also really deprive it, because the UK government has expressed concern over time. We have seen so many issues being raised, that is in the also really aftermath of the law, because so many people also did also really raise a number of concerns, saying this law maybe to those who support the idea of the LGBTQ say that it is against and it's a violation of people's rights, but Ugandan government and several other African governments claimed also really continue to still stand, that is on the values of African culture, saying that thing is really not acceptable in that is the African setting, and that's also a reason as to why it is still against the law. But really we have seen most times the Ugandan government saying also really those who may also really practice and not influence others, they may not also really be arrested there, but if at all caught, definitely they will also really face the wrath of the law, which is really which has put, that is death sentences, where we have seen sentences more than 10 years for somebody to be in prison, and heavy amounts of money which can also be paid in there. And that is only a reason as to why we are going to be following up on that issue until maybe this matter is put aside. Because if you really see this thing, at one time, are we going to be seeing Uganda bow to the pressure? Because if you look at our budget, we are extending, we are getting closer to the next financial year, and that means that we also really going to be looking for donations. Because if you really see our budget, most of it is being funded, that is through loans and through the donations, and most of it also really comes through sometimes also really from the UK government. Are we going to be seeing also really Uganda also subjecting to pressure? Definitely, that's also really something that we are yet going to be following up. In the statement, that's the UK's Deputy Foreign Secretary Andrew Mitchell has said Among benefited from the proceeds of what we are talking about here. And since introduction, we have seen so many people also being arrested under that new law that is already there to also really curtail corruption that is across the globe. And we are saying, what shall we be seeing at the end of the day? Are we going to be seeing this matter addressed once and for all? Definitely, I do not know, but I will still keep on following on that matter until the last drop. And now let's look at what is happening, because we are into the month of May. Very soon we are going to be seeing also the Ugandan government conducting census, because recently we did see interviews going on, and now we are waiting for the real exercise. And remember, 9th of May is actually going to be the census night, and that means that people need to also really practice and wait for what is happening, because I do understand some of the schools have already broken off, that is for holidays, that is also really to pave way in preparations for the national census, because each and every 10 years the Ugandan government carries out what we call the national census, that is housing and population census, that is to establish the number of people also really living in the country, so that also the government of Uganda can budget for this one. That is the reason as to why we are going to be conducting, that is also what we call the census. And remember, the government of Uganda has given the mandate, that is to count the people, and that is into the hands of Uganda Bureau of Statistics, which has said it will count whoever will be in Uganda on the census night. And Mr. Didakas Okoth, the UBA's senior public relations officer, who was speaking at the weekly press briefing, that's at police headquarters in Naguru, that is in Kampala, also really said everyone in Uganda, including refugees, will be counted, that is during the census. And he said people in the refugee camps, the islands, and the armed forces will be floating populations and will be gazetted under the special areas. And this category will include, that's the Greater Kampala metropolitan area, that covers, that is Kampala City, Mukono, and Wakiso, since they have many floating populations and the big night also economy. And that is really a reason as to why they will be counted under the special interest. I want to call them the special groups, and that is already where we are going to be counting the population I've just mentioned, that includes that is the army and also the refugees who will be counted under the moving also the population there. And the 2024 national population census runs that's from May 10th that's 19th, and with May 9th as the census night, where the UBO staff will move door to door and capture that is residence data. And that's already something we are going to be seeing on. And Mr. Koth said the refugees will be enumerated by themselves, with UBOs working closely with the refugee desk that is in the office of the Prime Minister and the camp commandant and his team of enumerators. And that's something we are going to be seeing. And Uganda hosts that's about 1.5 million refugees, and the largest influx that is of the refugee population in Africa as the sixth that is in the world. And that's already something we are saying, where nearly 60% of these refugees are from South Sudan, and another that is 30% are coming from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and not forgetting those also already coming from Sudan, because I do understand that some of them are actually living in Uganda, where we have also been told others are living in areas of Chiradongo and Nakasongola who have been taken in there, and others still continue to mingle. That is not in camps, but also really among the people, because recently I was in one of the areas where I was able to see a number of Sudanese refugees. These are from Sudan, who we are fleeing, that is the war in there. New boss said May 10th will be the census public holiday, and the public is encouraged to stay home. That is to facilitate a smooth start of the enumeration exercise, and that's something we are going to be following up on. And he said the census counting helps, that is to avoid double counting of people, and all forms will include, that is the floating population questionnaire for people traveling, institutional questionnaires, that's for schools and hospitals and universities, households questionnaires, and also for Uganda Post Defense Forces also will be having their own questionnaire, and the Uganda Prison Services as well. And Mr. Koth said they have recruited that's enough enumerators to carry out the exercise, with more than 120 field staff to cover the entire country. And he said they would capture the data of Ugandans living abroad through their also relatives, who will provide the details of the person or persons using a questionnaire that asks if the household members have any relatives living abroad. That's something we are going to be seeing upon. But really the question I want to also echo out my voice on is, we are having poor relocated, and we don't see any chance of them coming back. Are we also going to be counting them? Because the sole purpose of counting is actually to budget for the poor for the next 10 years. But what about those people who have left the country and have really moved to other areas? Are we going to also be also considering them in the exercise? That is also something that I would also really want to maybe at one time understand. And this is also a reason as to why we are going to be seeing the census night. Remember, every 10 years Uganda does what we call the national population and housing exercise. That is to establish the number of the citizens, such that also the government can also really budget and allocate enough resources for the citizens. And that's also something we are going to be following up on. And I don't know what you think as the viewer, but definitely as we continue with the show, you too can still also share your opinions on what we are discussing. Remember, we have so many issues that we are going to be discussing with you on the show as well, and you too can also still be part of the show. And now let's tap into what we are seeing in politics, where National Unity Platform is supposed to conduct. That is also really maybe the voter registration, because we did see NRM, where we did see the exercise also really going on smoothly amidst low turnout, where we also did see some people asking for the extension of this exercise. And now we are yet following up, and maybe when NRM will also really still gazette more days for the counting exercise to go on, and that's something we are going to following up on. And at the end of the day, we are here to also really inform you of any development in line to that, and that is also really a reason as to why you also need to be part of the show. And now let's see what is happening elsewhere. I'm talking about National Unity Platform, because really today so many issues are continue to also really happen in there. Now the party also wants to establish how many members subscribe to the ideology that is also theirs, and that's also something we are saying we want to follow up on, because mostly we have seen the youths are very, very much affiliated to the party, and other people have also really got to term that is the party as the party of the youth. That is also a reason as to why we are going to be following up on and want to see maybe how this exercise will be able to be conducted in the long run. And the leader of the National Platform Party, Mr. Robert Chagulanyi, commonly known as Bobby Wine, launched a campaign that is to update the party register. That is on April 29th of this year, and the month-long registration exercise is said that is to commence, that is tomorrow, which is today, and will cut across the country. And during the launch of the party, during the launch at the party headquarters at Makerere, Kavule in Kampala, Mr. Chagulanyi, who renewed his membership to the party, urged the registrants also who will participate in the exercise to remain vigilant against potential interference from both state and the party leaders. Also, that is also where he did also gave that advice to these people who are going to be conducting the exercise. And he said it is the routine for government agencies to frustrate that is the party's legitimate campaigns and urge the state to allow the smooth flow of also the opposition democratic process in there. That's also something we did see the party president, as others are prepared to call him. That is also the party principal, also really echoing out his concern to government and also really pleading with government to allow this exercise to move on smoothly. Because if at all government is going to be doing interference, then definitely we may not see the exercise going on very, very well. And as expected, that we may also see challenges hampering the same exercise, and which would also really at the end of the day be very, very bad. And the regime wants to put that narrative that all people are also viable. That is why you have seen some of our leaders and the former leaders also getting trapped in corruption, also scandals there. And be careful, because you know the party's way of dealing with the corrupt ones, he added, and also really warned those who are going to be doing this exercise against corruption. Mr. Chagulanyi also criticized Captain Mike Mukula, the vice person that is of National Resistance Movement Eastern Region, for reportedly taking the NUP register, while welcoming former NUP party members who defected to the NRM, and that is where he did also raise concern and efforts to get comment that's on the matter from Captain Mike Mukula. We are futile by press time, as he did not answer. That is the repeated quarrels of journalists. And the NUP leaders say the registration campaign is part of the party's wider arrangements that's organized, that is the party structures from the grassroots, the top leadership. And meanwhile, also we did see that is the leader of opposition in parliament, that's Mr. Joel Senyonyi, also challenging the registers to be good ambassadors to the party, and also do not also engage in what we call corruption scandals. And we didn't see the background. Maybe somebody could be interested in the background of this. NUP, formerly known as the National Unity Reconciliation and Development Party, with members also under the then, that is the People Power Movement, is registered with Electoral Commission, and NUP has about 59 MPs in the House, and is leading, and now it is the leading opposition group in Parliament. With the mass and departure that's from their approach that in the past elections, the party is looking forward to strengthen its grassroots structures, and that's something we are going to be seeing the party very, very much dwelling on. And updating registers, we did see the National Unity Platform also the registration campaign comes which barely after months, where we did see the National Resistance Movement also concluding a similar exercise and addressing the media earlier this month. The NRM spokesman, Mr. Emmanuel Dombo, said at least 18 million people are registered for the party, and however he was refuted by the opposition leaders who said the NRM was trying to inflate the figures to justify allegations of election rigging that is in the previous NRM, that's general elections. And that is also really what does bring us to the end of that discussions, and we still have lots more. Remember, FDC is also doing something, and I will be talking to you very much about that. But before that, let's first get to have this short commercial breather, and we bounce back shortly.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
StarTimes brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023 live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your StarTimes subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. StarTimes, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
All right, welcome back from that commercial breather, and before we did go for that commercial break, we are talking about NUP going to carry out their exercise. That is also to identify their members, and through registration, that is when we will be able to be an eligible member. And remember, maybe if you're not part of the exercise, definitely you may also not be able to also take part in the decision making of the party, and that is already where you may also be barred from. That is aspiring as maybe a candidate, and that's a reason as to why each and everybody with interest now in working together with the party now needs to embrace the forthcoming exercise, that is to register and identify the members, and really that is what does bring us to the end of that. Now let's still look within what is happening in the electoral process, and that's already a reason as to why we are getting, that is maybe the environment getting tense and hotter, because if you really see what is happening right now, we are seeing politics at its peak, though the Electoral Commission has not yet issued guidelines for people to also really conduct the exercise, but we are seeing those with the interest already at the grassroots levels, and most of them are actually within their villages and now trying to also really calm their voters and also really maybe start also really now so that they can also really attract the attention of the people to vote for them in the forthcoming general election, which is just not very far from now, because we are in 2024, very soon we shall be seeing the primary elections, which we are also saying to be very, very much tense. And if you really saw what happened over the past general elections, we have seen people also really raising so many concerns, for instance, intimidation of voters through also really putting tanks, and then secondly, voter bribery, which has also really been there, where people come and buy votes, and also really ignorance on civic education, where many people do not love the knowledge that is on civic education, for instance, also really for them to vote, and that is why we did see Western Regional Civil Society Network, abbreviated as the WCSNet, also really coming on, also bringing the different stakeholders together, that is also really where the duty bearers also had to come in to answer to the allegations of what also really maybe the voters could be saying, because this is actually after moving to several places where we did see the regional society together with human rights and other security agencies moving also to identify the people's concerns right at the grassroots levels, because at one time I was a part of also really that group there where we did move to Arivu and also really to also really talk to the people in there, where the people raised a number of concerns which have been affecting the quality and outcomes of the results, as to why also they need maybe some of the areas to be addressed, and what also really what these people said is what WCSNet together with Human Rights Commission transferred to the duty bearers also to answer, and that is why we didn't see the meeting of yesterday also really taking place. That was at Hunter's Nest, which did attract among others the clergy, the leaders of political parties, also really we did see the security leaders also really being in presence of that meeting, and also really concerned civil society organizations also really being part of that meeting as well. And maybe let's first listen to what the stakeholders said in that meeting. That would also really help us paint an image of what exactly could have transpired in there, and we continue with the discussions later on.
West Nile Regional Civil Society Network on 30th of April 2024 convened a meeting for various stakeholders to come together and deliberate on the gaps within the electoral process so as to prepare the citizens for the forthcoming general elections. The meeting that took place at Hunter's Nest in Arua City attracted the duty bearers, the members of the public, the security and the political leaders from various parties, among others from Greater Arua. Moses Oring, the program manager at West Nile Regional Civil Society Network, says the purpose for the one-day meeting is to bring the stakeholders together to deliberate on the concerns of the citizens.
To us, as the convener, this engagement means a lot in terms of bridging the gaps that has been faced by citizens, specifically on issues of transparency in election. Most times citizens do not have information. They think election transparency is only on the voting date or the election date. But you understand that issues around election transparency is almost like I already communicated, a 1.5-year process, which starts with the release of the roadmap and also the clarity, information. It's not just a release, but it's supposed to be, the citizens are supposed to know what is in the roadmap. So citizens have raised issues, which we got duty bearers response to them. They have given commitment. So this means a lot for our future elections, and we feel future election will be better, learning from our past mistakes.
Some of the stakeholders who turned up for the meeting organized by the civil society organization raised the following concerns affecting the outcomes and quality of the elections in the country.
You cannot have a president who is holding full executive powers, contesting against the opponents who are not even anywhere near State House. So the president moves with the planes that will have the helicopters, with the presidential guards, with all the force. He draws the funds from the National Treasury to campaign. Then where is the level ground here? So we say there must be a level ground, and if possible, there must be an interim leadership.
When you come to office through a free, fair, credible, verifiable elections, and I explained in that presentation what I meant by verifiable, because we don't have that terminology in Uganda. Other countries have it. The likelihood is that most of the leaders will be accountable. So it reduces the question of corruption. When you have leaders who come to power through illegitimate means, you don't have to expect accountability.
As a view of the ordinary citizens for which they blamed police for being harsh during elections, Josephine Angutia, the West Nile Region police spokesperson, denied the allegation, saying police works within the law.
Many times people have a feeling that police is an institution which is biased. Maybe it is an institution which serves only the interest of the existing government. Police is this and that, they torture and so on. I want to inform everyone that police operates within the laws of the country. As police, we don't make the constitution, but we work on what has been decided upon in the parliament by our members of parliament and what has been enacted into law.
Izale Osman, the returning officer for Koboko, who represented the Electoral Commission, appreciated the civil society for organizing, bringing the stakeholders together.
In a special way, I want to thank Westnet for organizing dialogue. It's now Commission's policy to have conversations with our stakeholders and to have stakeholder engagements at every opportunity time. So when we sit together with our stakeholders like this, as Commission, we are really pleased.
Aikorupis, human rights officer in charge of education, calls for mindset, most especially on where the electoral process have been characterized by violence.
We should talk to people that if I win, next time Madam will also win. We should not carry out this, and it should affect our relations with our neighbors. No, let's encourage peaceful coexistence before and after election, and also avoid issues of hate speech. Colleagues who are going to stand, when you are going, let people know your manifesto. Why do you talk about my other issues? Instead of concentrating on manifesto, people should choose me because they know I can serve you well.
As the period to 2026 general elections gets closer, sensitization of the citizens remain key, such that they can make informed decisions.
All right, that is it from the stakeholders, and you have elaborately heard what they say. That is in relation to how they may be what has been also influencing the outcomes of the results of what we have seen over the years. with most of them actually also saying the elections have not been very, very much fair, and that is also really a reason as to why we also tend to see the results maybe turning out the way they have been turning out, and that's also really maybe what you heard from them, and that's not from us, but definitely you heard what exactly they said. And we move away from that, because if you look at 2026, you realize that 2026 is not very, very far from now, and that's also really a reason as to why we are yet following up on that. And now let's see what is happening in the camp of Forum for Democratic Change, where other people are saying Dr. Besigye has been favored, that is in the new party, and that's something we are seeing on the paper this morning. I don't know, maybe you who is interested in politics, what you think about that, and what that is the reason as to why also really you need to be part of the show, because we touch all the angles, and really that is already where we do not exclude anything, if at all there is anything that maybe that needs to be told to you, and that is already why we are each and every day right here on Western Television, that is on the Kokoliriko Live show, that is each and every mornings right from the hour of 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock, and that is also where we also give in way, that is for the AOL news team. For those of you watching us online, we say thank you so much, and not forgetting those of you streaming us on satellite, or sometimes we also really very, very much welcome you on board, and we say thank you so much for watching Western Television. And now, four-time presidential candidate Dr. Kano Kizza Besigye is being fronted, that is as the leader of the new political formation, by majority of the supporters of Forum for Democratic Change party faction, that is of the Najana Nkumbi, also that is of the Katonga faction in there, where we did see Mr. Harold Kaija, the Secretary General, that is of the Splinter Group, told journalists that majority of the places I've gone to, people are asking for Dr. Kizza Besigye also really to be also really the leader in there with the formation of a new idea. Because if you really see what happened, Forum for Democratic Change, among other suggestions, after failing to work together with the leaders at Najana Nkumbi, had 3 suggestions, among which others include that is to form a new political party, and then secondly also really also doing other things, also really, maybe also really that the issue of also really reconciling, after all this failed, definitely they also had to resort to forming a new political party. That is also a reason as to why they are here, and he declined to comment on the preference of Dr. Kizza Besigye as a leader of the new political outfit, saying this was not the right subject of consultation, and that is also really where journalists have been asking, is it Kizza Besigye going to be the one aspiring in the forthcoming elections under the new political party FDC looks forward to forming? And this is the Katonga faction, who have failed to work together with the National Nkumbi bloc, that is of Patrick Amuriat Oboy, and also really, that is also really together with other leaders in there. We have seen a number of these strong FDC candidates also really moving, that is the Katonga group, and notable among them is actually, that is Lord Mayor Elias Lukwago, together with also really other leaders who have moved in there. And however, in previous meetings, that is also really with Mr. Kaija, he said that Dr. Kizza Besigye's home district in Rukunjiri and neighboring Kabale district in southwestern Uganda, as well as Bushenyi in western Uganda and Busoga to east, stakeholders have named the doctor, also really turned politician, as a favorite to also really lead in there. And Dr. Besigye was unavailable on April 29th to respond to the said proposal, as also really it was reported that to be a day-long meeting at his home, that is in Kasangati, Wakiso district. And also really preliminary details of the faction, including the nationwide consultations, have come to also really light as Dr. Kizza Besigye and other senior FDC leaders who broke over, that is the direction of the party's new leadership under Patrick Amuriat Oboy, that is also really that they will be also meeting today, and they will start that consultation in Hoima City, and later on proceed to Masini district and coverage the other areas, also really converge in other areas in Lira, where we also really intend to attract the whole of Lira sub-region, also to, that is be part in Lira City there, and then the group will proceed to Acholi sub-region, where they will be able to converge, that is in Gulu City, with the final leg in Kitgum on Sunday, and that's already when they will be able to sort of move in there, because we really see actually sub-region is quite huge. Definitely that is already where the two groups also need to meet twice, because if you will see, unlike Western sub-region, we may say people from maybe the entire Western sub-region cutting across, also already covering the entire Mahdi sub-region, Luru sub-region, and other areas also to converge in the rural city. It is really sometimes understandable, but if you look at the actually sub-region, it's quite huge, and that's also a reason as to why sometimes when such organizations are doing their meetings, it has to be done in two places. And the team broke ranks after publicly leveling accusations that Mr. Amuriat and FDC Secretary General Nandala Mafabi, in the return, that is of 2021 general elections, received dirty money from State House to hand, that is the party over, that is President Museveni. And the duo at State House separately dismissed allegations after months of infighting marked by public bickering, name-calling, and a disputed report of party leaders into the dirty money saga. Some of the party co-founders and ideologists also walked away, that is to that is in protest, that is to the accusations also in there. And these include the FDC secretary, that is national chairman, that is Ambassador Waswa Birigwa. Then the then FDC Deputy Party President of Buganda and Lord Mayor Eras Lukwago, and his Eastern also region counterpart, that's Salam Musumba, Dr. Best himself, and then the FDC spokesperson, that is Ibrahim Semujunganda, among other delegates who have moved, that is the Katonga function, and they look forward now to also reform their new political party. And we are yet following up on, and how is it going to be called? Definitely that is something we do not know yet, but we are yet following up with the consultation. And the departure kept, that is the most, that is a tumultuous period in and battle of the soul for FDC, which before also really the last elections was, that is Uganda's largest election, which they did also really lose, that is the National Unity Platform, because if you really see the National Unity Platform today, with the 59 legislators, they are the leading opposition in Parliament. That's also today. And really, and how we also get to identify the leading opposition, it is actually through sending the majority now maybe in Parliament, and also that is also really where we are saying FDC is now maybe the second, and also they have lost that pride after enjoying it for a long period of time. And I really believe, if at all the party members also really sit down and also really draw amicable means, that would also really help address these issues that we are talking about. And following that, departure from Najanankumbi, where FDC is headquartered on the Kampala-Entebbe Highway. The Kampala-Entebbe Highway, the faction has convened a National Delegates Conference, which elected, that is Ambassador Birigwa as its interim national chairperson, Lukwago as its new interim party president, Mr. Kaija as its new interim secretary general, and Kira Municipality Parliament Semujunganda as its interim spokesperson. And Dr. Beste was not elected to any position, although the pickings happened when he already announced a political comeback after he has also in active politics and activism also in there. And what does that mean? Are we going to be seeing maybe something happening, a coup somewhere? Definitely, I do not know, because we did also really see, but that is Kira Beste also really making it clear that he was in political holiday and he's back. But really, if you really see maybe the pronouncements, he wasn't anywhere. But really, are we going to be seeing him also be appointed? Because we have seen political parties doing that. And one of the suggestions is the formation of the new party, and they reconcile with Najanankumbi, while a third option was for them to join any existing also a party there. And that is why these people are now saying, out of the three, definitely they look forward to forming a new political party. And now, how is the political party going to be called? That is something I do not know, but we are yet following up on that. And then maybe if they also really maybe get a name for their political party, it could be dash dash dash. I would be also really maybe here letting you know that when the right time comes. And insiders say they have started toyed with the idea of continuing with the wrestling or control, that's of FDC, that is from the grip of Mr. Museveni and Mr. Amuriat and Mr. Wafabi, or start, that is an all-encompassing social movement. And that's something we are seeing on the past morning. And proponents are presenting these options during interface with their allied party members, pending, that is also really a final decision by National Delegates Conference that the interim Secretary General Kaija said he said it would take place, that is in Kampala, that's for May 15th. That's something we are yet following up on, and many of these appear to exist only if the name or the paper they neither participate in general elections nor organize public-facing activities, and that's something we are yet following up on. And in an interview with journalists last evening, Ambassador Birigwa downplayed concerns that the formation of a new political party, when the Electoral Commission has announced also already issued an electoral roadmap, could be the that is also for the 2026 ballot also in there. And also we are yet following up on, because the Electoral also Commission has already issued the guidelines that's for the 2025-2026 elections, and so many people have now also been also working in line to that. And are we going to be seeing a formation of a new political party? That is something definitely I do not know, but really, if I can be able to solely remind you of that, that would be well and good. And now let's first see what is happening elsewhere. Maybe in some of the stories also really happening elsewhere, that would also maybe paint for us an image maybe of what we're talking about. Because if we're talking about poverty, and yesterday one of the issues that also really came out maybe affecting and downplaying the quality of the elections is actually the issue of poverty, because sometimes the voters are very poor, and that is why issues of vote bribery and vote buying is coming up. And that is why also government of Uganda needs to come up and clearly sensitize and empower the people with several of these government projects. And now the beneficiaries of what we call the Spring Project have been urged by the stakeholders to share and extend the knowledge they have acquired with the rest of the community members. And the program which is known as the Security Protection and Economic Empowerment Project, abbreviated as the Supreme, beneficiaries in Moyo and Alur sub-counties have been urged to share the knowledge they have acquired from the project with the rest of the community members, so as to bring change in their communities. Let's see what happened in Moyo in relation to that as we continue with the show later on.
The meeting, organized by Rice West Nile, a non-governmental organization operating in the West Nile region, is to share the achievements and challenges during the implementation of the project within the sub-counties as the project nears completion. Honorable Andeli Nyasio, the Chairman Local Council 3 Moyo Sub-County, urged the beneficiaries in the sub-counties to consider sharing the knowledge they have acquired with the rest of the community members so as to bring change in their communities, adding that if they don't consider sharing their knowledge, whatever they have achieved may not be secure.
Call upon these beneficiaries here who are representatives of those who do not make it, that we should not make this knowledge that we have.
All right, that is it, because really if you have the knowledge, if you have acquired the knowledge, then definitely you do not maybe share it with the rest of the members. That would be quite unfortunate, and that is why we are saying after acquiring the knowledge, do not keep it to yourself alone, but rather share it with the rest of the maybe community members. That would be very well. And this is also really where we did see the Supreme project also coming up to empower the people in there. And remember, several of these government projects are coming up, where we did see also the Grow project being launched there that targets, that is the women entrepreneurs. And we are saying those who have acquired the knowledge under the Grow project, because in University we did see the launch of that. And then definitely we also did see Ministry of Gender and Labor Development together with other partners, and these are the implementing partners also really coming still again, that is to train the locals and also really sensitize them on what the money they have acquired is going to be also really using, and maybe how it's going to help them. And that is also a reason as to why we are saying those who have acquired this money do not use it like how we have seen some people misusing the PDM money for buying mattresses, for buying maybe speakers, which is really quite unfortunate. And that is the reason as to why we need to ensure that once we are getting these monies, definitely we need to put them into the productive maybe measures, and also really maybe in those projects that we have written, because government, before giving these monies, definitely they also really to lead the poor, and that is why the campaign to move out of poverty must be everybody's goal. And that is also a reason as to why we say each and everybody must be part of this discussion, and each and everyone must also really take part in what we are discussing here. And for those of you who are maybe not getting actively engaged in these activities, we say it is high time that you start also really engaging in that, because today most people live that is beyond, that is the poverty line. And we are saying at least for those who cannot afford, that is the 3 meals per day, you are living within the poverty line. And that's why PDM, the Nyogas, the Youth Livelihood, the Ntandikwa, Bonabagagawale, we all started by the government of Uganda, that is to empower the citizens. But what maybe also comes as a challenge is the issue of financial literacy. And also really before disbursing the funds, people have been often saying, let government of Uganda first of all train the locals, and before also giving them the money, so that maybe the person who is going to get the money is the one who is well empowered on financial literacy. Because financial literacy is what we are saying maybe how best you can use the money you have acquired. Because if somebody is not maybe financial literate, definitely the person may use the 1 million that we are talking about. And we are going to be seeing those who have maybe had knowledge on financial literacy are going to also really sit with the 1 million that we are talking about, which may be very small, but also really it is going to change their livelihoods. And that is also why we are saying government of Uganda is coming up with several of these projects. And the meeting organized by that's Rice West Nile, a non-government organization operating West Nile region, to share that's the achievements and challenges also during the implementation of the project within the 2 sub-regions. The 2 counties is a project as the project nears that is completion in there. And Honorable Andeli Nyasio, the chairman, that is Local Council 3 Moyo Sub-County, urged the beneficiaries in 2 sub-counties that is to consider the knowledge sharing they have acquired with the rest of the community members, so as to also really bringing change in their communities, adding that if they do not also consider sharing the knowledge, whatever they have achieved may not be able to solely be secure there. Mr. Olema Jackson, the component manager, that is Rice West Nile, lauded the beneficiaries within the district for the tremendous work they have done since the project was rolled out, saying the district, according to them, was also really that is endeavored that's a survey, and they have also discovered that the performance was well and different components of the project. And Mr. Angumvuku Xavier, the parish chief, that is for Afoji Parish, said the project is coming to an end, and there is need also for the sub-county stakeholders to engage the beneficiaries through the capacity building, so as to help diversify the business, which will make the project to be sustained even after the project also really closes in there. And Mrs. Kojoki Edwin, the Community Development Officer for Moyo Sub-County, say the public need to also really embrace the project, so as to also really own it and mindset change, so as also the project can be sustained even after the project also really ending in there. And Honorable Oduti Francis Aologo, the chairman LC3 chairperson, that's Aluru Sub-County, said according to their findings, they have raised the biggest challenges faced by the beneficiaries as the issue of some members borrowing the money and taking it long to repay back. And this is what we are saying. These are revolving funds. These are not monies that government is giving for you just to eat. Just like how many people have been thinking about that. Because if you will see why some of the people have not been able to refund the money is because of the issue of mindset change. Because they feel this is money government is giving them for campaigns. This is the money government is giving out to buy them, which is not the case. And that is also a reason as to why we are saying people need to also really be very, very much serious once also really engaging in those monies in there. Once they borrow these monies, let them be also really mindful of those other people who may also need to use the money. Because if you really see what is happening with the PDM money, it is a revolving fund. What we are saying is that if you borrow the 1 million, refund it back so that your brother out there, or maybe your sister or your grandfather who is very vulnerable, who is very poor, can also really go back and borrow that money. And really, if you saw maybe what came in with the PDM, if you move to the grassroots levels, people have been also really raising concern on how these committees have been also selecting members to benefit from the money, which is really quite unfortunate. And really, we do not want to see this with maybe the coming projects, because I believe this is not the end of the project, and we are going to be seeing more of these projects emerging. And these are all also to see to that people move out of poverty, because if you really see what is happening today, most of our people are within the poverty line, and West Nile sub-region is actually one of the poorest regions in the country. And that is the reason as to why we also need to embrace these government projects with one heart, and we also have to work towards maybe supporting them. And Mr. Amza Robert, one of the beneficiaries of the project, lauded West Nile for supporting him as an individual, and said the help has brought positive change in his life and his family as well, and he's able to now pay his children in secondary schools using this money. And these are the kind of testimonies that we need, and definitely we need also more of these testimonies. For instance, with what we are following up on PDM, and we are here to see the beneficiaries of PDM also really coming out to the limelight and say, yes, I am who I am today because of the PDM money. And really, I want to also really extend my call to everybody that we can also change our livelihoods, and that would be quite well. And the Secretary Protection and also the Security Protection and Economic Empowerment Project, abbreviated as the Supreme Project, started that in 2020 and is expected to run for 4 years, ending in July this year, and has supported over 500 people in groups and also individuals and different enterprises with the aim of empowering and also eradicating poverty, so as to help those citizens become self-reliant and improve on their income, or that is at household levels there. And the project has been running, that is in 4 districts with West Nile sub-region also, but in Moyo district, the project has been implemented in 3 sub-counties, namely that is Aluru sub-county, Metu, Lefori, and Moyo sub-counties in there. And that's really something that we also are yet following up on, and we want to see maybe that project at the end of the day also attaining its intended purpose, which is also there to elevate the masses out of poverty. And really that does bring us to the end of that discussion, and we are going to be also entering into our second hour of the show. And really, for those of you watching us online, for instance on Facebook, on YouTube, we say thank you so much. And for those of you so maybe watching us on StarTimes right now, because so many of you have been waiting for us, and we are back, and that is also a reason as to why we are saying we are back bigger and stronger, and that is to continue also really giving you the information that you need only on West Nile Television, Kokoliriko Live. My name is FARISH Majid. Stay tuned as we bounce back into our second hour with other topics that we also we feel that you need to also really be aware of.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
AFCON, all 52 games live only on Star Times. Star Times brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023 live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13th, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your Star Times subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. Star Times, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome back from that short commercial breather. We are 6 minutes into the second hour of the show, which is 8 o'clock and which is our final hour. And remember, we are going to be doing this with you. And for those of you watching us via Star Times, we do very much appreciate you. And we say that we also thank you so much. And we appreciate also you for being there. And for those of you watching us online, we also say thank you very much. And we are back. And that's really a reason as to why you need to be part of the show. And remember, before we did go for the break, we are talking about the Supreme Project, which is also really there to ensure that the masses move out of poverty. And now, before leaving that aside, let's now see what is happening maybe with other projects. For instance, PDM, where we did see President Museveni sending out officials that is to evaluate the PDM program also in Luero district there. And this is something we are yet following up on. And the President of Uganda, His Excellency Dr. Museveni, has embarked on monitoring process, that's of the parish development model funds, that is in order to eliminate irregularities in the system. And the revelation was made on Monday by the President, also Senior Advisor on Political Mobilization, Moses Biaruhanga, in there. And he was launching the monitoring process that is at Bunya Foundation Primary School, PWD Village, Luero Town Council in Luero District. And that's something where we did see the evaluation exercise is going to be going on, because we want to see the government of Uganda realizing its intended purpose, which is also really there to evaluate and maybe make people move out of poverty. Because if we talk about poverty today, many people are living behind the bar line, and this is also something we have been told that is very difficult to lead the poor, and that's also a reason as to why we want to see maybe how best government of Uganda can also really be able to also really maybe change that narrative. Because many times people have been saying the government of Uganda makes people very poor, so that also really they can rule them easily, and that is something many people have been raising costs over. And now we are seeing the government of Uganda doing contrary to what people have been saying, that is really to support the people and make them move out of poverty. And Biaruhanga said the Nairobi government has initiated several programs that is to benefit Ugandans, but some of them have faced certain hindrances which the government has managed to solve or is looking forward to working on. And that's the reason as to why we are seeing the monitoring exercise going to be taking place. And in 1997, the government introduced that is the universal primary education, which is abbreviated as the UPE, and the program also that is also for secondary schools, which is also known as the Universal Secondary Education, the following year, that is 1998, also to uplift the status that is of the Ugandan children also to accessing that is free education. And remember, this is also among the Sustainable Development Goals. If you really see the Millennium Development Goals, one of them is actually the access to education, and that is why the government of Uganda also in partnership and also in partnership with what the global issues that we're saying, and also where the government of Uganda to subscribe that idea there. And Bayuhanga said further, the National Agricultural Advisory Services was created in 2001 to address that is constraints of lack of access to agricultural information, also knowledge, and improve technology among rural farmers in the country. And that's also where the government also of Uganda doesn't want to limit itself only to the education sector, but rather also wants that cut across all the sectors. And that is why at least in every sector there is also a government entity that has been created to also oversee the activities there. And President Museveni appointed Hajat Mariam Namaya Njachiwanuka as the special presidential assistant, that's to monitor PDM funds also in there, and that's something we are yet following up on. And Biaruhanga also clarified that the maximum amount of PDM money to a beneficiary is shillings 1 million, which is payable within 2 years. And many people are not also maybe paying this money. If you really see what is happening within our villages, we are going to be seeing people running away with the PDM money, because if at all somebody fails to pay the money within the stipulated period of time, which is 2 years, we are going to be seeing maybe during enforcement, maybe when government wants to recover the money through force, people are going to be running away, because most of the time we have seen people solely are failing to comply to what they really ask for. And that is one reason as to why we say it is quite absurd. People also have to ensure and be mindful of the rest of the people who may also need this money here, because the PDM money is not for everybody, but it's not maybe money that is just meant to be eaten, but it's rather money for everybody to also benefit from. And that is why government of Uganda is coming up with these initiatives. For instance, the PDM and the Myoga, which are revolving funds, so that also maybe those who have borrowed the money, if you're lucky enough to have borrowed this money, then you must also be lucky enough to refund the money quickly, so that also that unlucky person who is yet to get the money can also benefit from it. And that would also paint an image and make everybody also transform their lives out of poverty, which we want to also see. Because if we're going to be in poverty, if we're going to be labeled as one of the poorest regions, that is also quite absurd. It does not make us proud. And remember, as West Nile Television, our #1 mandate remains that to enlighten the region, and it is really very much difficult for us to also enlighten the poor people. And that's the reason as to why whoever has gotten this money, let's ensure that we utilize the money for the right use and the right purpose. And for those who are yet to get the money, let's be patient and also continue pressurizing those who have acquired the money to also start refunding back the money, so that really we also get the money and also benefit from it too, because it is meant to benefit each and everybody. And Biaruhanga also clarified on that. For clarity, the money does not also go back to the government, it remains that is in the parish shako. That's something we are saying on. And maybe from where you got the money, definitely if you refund it back, it is going to remain there, so that it can be extended to another member who has also not maybe gotten the money. And that's the reason as to why we are saying, for those who have acquired the money, let's be mindful, let's also really be empathetic, let's also refund the money back, because if you're not empathetic enough, definitely we are going to be people of selfish interest. And once we are people of selfish interest, then definitely we are not going to be minding of this money. And that is why we are going to be developing ideas, for instance, thoughts of this is government money, this is campaign money, this is money we are being bought with, and definitely these are quite wrong, and these are things that we need to avoid. On people squander government resources, Biaruhanga assure the culprits that they will be arrested and dealt with accordingly with the laws. And that is also these are the laws that govern the country as to why they also need to desist from corruption tendencies. And the warning came after a concern raised by the resident district commissioner, that is Richard Boabie, about the misconduct of some government officials reportedly involved in soliciting PDM money from beneficiaries also there, because most of the times we have seen people solely being able to solely raising this concern, because it's not only happening in Luero, we did see also happening elsewhere in Western Sub-region, where some people were accused of soliciting money. And what these people said is that they solicited the money, and this is the response they gave. They actually got the money, yes, but it is also for processing the money, for processing the papers and other documents. And this is really quite unfortunate, where we did see some people also maybe paying money up to 20,000. This is very bad, and we are now seeing many people tracking long distances also to see that they access the money. And that is also another area where government also needs to look out for solution in terms of also addressing that area there of what we are talking about, the PDM money. Because if you really see what is happening today, our grandmothers, our mothers in the villages are trekking long distances to check if at all the money is there, which is really quite unfortunate. And really seeing somebody maybe deep down in war moving, that is to also really access this money and moving several times, which is really quite unfortunate. And if you really see what is happening, maybe in Wanga, in Mariokolo district, maybe deep down in Ogoko, somebody moving really to get that money may be a very big challenge, but really also really bring the services closer to the people, maybe very well, and that would also at the end of the day maybe help improve on this vulnerable people, because it is meant to benefit the vulnerable poor, and really for them to also really trek long distances without them getting the money may also make them lose their morale, and what may also result is actually them to give up, and really once somebody gives up, that is also the end of them. And that is why we are saying government of Uganda needs to come up with other ideas so that also those who are yet to benefit from the money can also do so, because if that does not happen, then definitely we are yet going to be seeing people still continuing to sour and also continue to maybe swim in poverty, as the case has always been. Biawe has also revealed that he had recovered, that's the total of that is 61 million, and that was also he was still hunting for more culprits to be arrested and charged accordingly, and that is only something we are saying. Put it from tendencies of corruption, because corruption is really something that has made our country to lag behind, and that's really a reason as to why we need to ensure that once we are talking about corruption tendencies, let us ensure that we are transparent. And meanwhile, on the issue of money lenders collecting national identity cards from borrowers or as collateral, and so many of these loan companies have been taking IDs of the citizens, of the civil servants also as collateral, and once these people fail to get the money, it becomes very much difficult. And the government of Uganda also did echo out concerns and say if this should not be the case, because really if people are already maybe also collecting their IDs, and for them to get the IDs back, definitely at times it is a tug of war. Maybe once they fail to get the money and with accumulated interest, it becomes very much difficult. And for the one who may also need to use the ID, it becomes very difficult for them. But then what about the security of these loan companies? Because some of them are into business, and this is also something that we need to look out for. And I believe the easiest way for people to also recover this money is through the collection of IDs. If government is also already barring the collection of national IDs as collateral, then what else? As to this people hand over as collateral, maybe for these small loans, because sometimes the loans start as smaller as 50,000, and this is also really where we have seen most of the civil servants also rushing to. These are the teachers, the police, and the security agencies sometimes really rushing out, and these are also, at the end of the day, have also really been held as victims of also really their national IDs being held in there. And here the president instructed the Attorney General, that is Chiriowa Chiwanuka, to institute a law deterring money lenders from using national identity cards as collateral security. And on land matters, Biaruhanga urged Luero politicians to collaborate, that is with the residents, in order to deal with the rampant land wrangles in the area. And this is something we want to see, because today you realize that most of the fights among the community members, most of the fights among family members is actually over land. And that's also really why government of Uganda has also come up and urged the people of Uganda to also really embrace titling their lands. And that's also really a reason as to why we also want to avoid the tendencies, because if you really see what is happening more so among the institutions today, you realize that most of the fights surround themselves around land, and land also really, this is actually why we say land has continued to remain stagnant much as the population has continued to grow. And that's also the reason why we are saying people need to embrace the issues of titling their lands, and most of the local governments have now instituted the land committees and the land boards also really in there, and these are all to assist, that is also really in the issue of land titling and land registration. And for those who are maybe, because if you really see our lands and our government of Uganda, also our land system is maybe different from what is happening in Buganda, because our land is not Milo as it is the case in Buganda. And this is something we need to also ensure that we also take advantage of titling our lands. And this is also something at the end of the day that would help avoid a fight that is between the community members. And Walubi also noted that 70% of PDM money has been, that is well utilized in sub-county, where the remaining 30% of money has issues, that is with the beneficiary directed to it, and other things such as paying school fees, where this was really against what they did also put in their proposals, because most of the people also actually put out this money that they are going to use it, that is for other projects. But now we are seeing people misusing the money for other projects, which is really quite unfortunate. And on our part, that is Hajat Namaya Nzachuanuko explained that her role is to register names of all PDM also beneficiaries, that amount of money they received, and how they are also going to be using that money there. And we want to see This money also really realizing its intended purpose by the government of Uganda, that is also really to sensitize and uplift the masses out of poverty, and that would also really make us very, very proud at the end of the day. And Richard Simbwa, the L3 chairperson that's for Lore sub-county, complained about parish chiefs and sub-county chiefs also really who extort money from that is the beneficiaries, and he spoke that is of someone who reportedly replaced the names of genuine beneficiaries in the system with those whom he got bribed so much, which is really quite unfortunate. And Simbwa commended the president that's for initiating a PDM and also for appointing Ajat Namayanja to monitor the program in there, and that's something we are yet following up on. And we want to see how people can also really move out of poverty, because if we talk about poverty, definitely leading a poor person is usually said to be difficult, and that's also a reason as to why government of Uganda is trying its very best, that is already to maybe move people out of poverty. And that's something we also want to say maybe people need to talk about, because as earlier on we were talking about issues of land, and relatedly we are seeing Kampala Land Board boss claims harassment. That's sorry another story that we are seeing on the papers this morning. Kampala Land Board chairperson Dr. David Balondemu has written that is to the director, that is of Criminal Investigation Directorate, AIGP, that is Tom Magambo, to investigate people whom he believes are witch hunting him also really there, and that's something we are following up on. And in his April 26 complaint, Mr. Balondemu accuses the 3 staff, that's the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, of being behind his woes, and the names of the 3 officials of State House Anti-Corruption Unit who are also members of the Uganda Post Defense Forces have been withheld, and they have also really been arraigned, and they haven't been arraigned, that is before the courts of law yet, and that's something we are yet following up on. And Mr. Balondemu claims that between October and November last year, he was arrested on separate dates, and also pile of charges, including that's obtaining money by false pretenses, where they were preferred against him, and he was also subsequently remanded to Luzira government prison over the same matters in there, and that's something which he says is against his right. And Mr. Balondemu also advised that through his lawyer, that's of Acadia and advocates, he also has written that is to have his priorities, also the properties, including his vehicle and 2 mobile smartphones and a computer, which were confiscated to be returned in vain, and also that is something we are yet following up on. He also claims that one of the officers has been demanding shillings, that 30 million, before he can also be released, and and also his property is also being given to him, and that's a reason as to why he's now calling upon the government of Uganda to come to his rescue and also investigate the matter. And Ms. Mariam Natasha, the spokesperson that's of the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, has said they were aware of the matter but described the allegations against their officials as a blackmail. And really, what exactly happened? Because if at all this is the case, then that is quite unfortunate. And Mr. Balondemu's troubles began when he was arrested, that's by the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, that is solely and arraigned in court over allegedly obtaining money about, that is 2.2 billion, that is fraudulently from a foreign national, that is Mr. Hyun Kim, after reportedly committing, that is to sell, that is 53 kilograms of gold. And he was released on bail only to be rearrested on different charges of forgery later on, and that's something that didn't go on well with the gentleman we're talking about. And really we want to see maybe how best this matter can be resolved, and that would also really help us paint an image of what exactly needs to be done. And I don't know what you as the viewer has, maybe what you're saying, but harsh weather conditions, economic distress, worsening mental health. Now that's also another story that we are seeing on the papers. This is according to experts, and we want to see maybe how best these matters can be addressed, because today we are seeing a number of suicidal thoughts being developed, and we are seeing a number of people running mad, and this is also really said to be according to distress. And now we are saying maybe what can be done. And you as the viewer can also really share your opinions on what you think that needs to be done. And loss and displacement as a result of worsening economic conditions and extreme weather events such as floods are increasing. That is also really as mental health problems in Uganda, according to mental health experts. And this is also something that needs to be done, because we are talking about the rising water levels, and we also recently we did see people being evicted. That is implementation of trade order, and I believe this is also really what the experts are saying. And this is something at the end of the day, if not well dealt with, would also really result in the number of mental cases running, that is in the country. Because if you see what's happening in Mulago and also really elsewhere, mental cases are being admitted, you realize the numbers are overwhelming, and this is also an indication that people are not doing well. Because once we live in a society of many people living, maybe running mad, then definitely that tells us of how bad things are in that society. And that's also a reason as to why we want to see these matters addressed, because you need to look around your facilities, how many people are running mad, and these are also really things that we need to talk about, because many people are today, most especially the youth, are engaging into that that is drug abuse because of mental distress, and most of them are actually engaging in that because they lack what to do, and they say they are really there because they are giving up, and that is a reason as to why we are seeing them engaging in drug abuse. And speaking during the Mental Health Summit organized by Strong Minds Uganda in collaboration with United States Agency for International Development, abbreviated as you say, that's on April 29th in Kampala, Ms. Katana appealed that is to Ugandans to join hands in increasing awareness about prevention of mental ill health, and advocating for zero discrimination against the affected persons. And that's something we want to see, because sometimes stigma also is said to be worsening the conditions of people running mad, and that is the reason as to why we need to also really work together with them. We need to ensure we check on our loved ones, because if at all you're not checking on your loved one, maybe out there the person could be running mad, because you may feel that the person is well, but you have taken long without checking on them, and they could be running mad, and they could be expecting your help. They could expect that advice that you could be of help to, and that is the reason as to why we say let's ensure that we check on our loved ones at all times, because if at all you're not maybe checking on your loved ones, we are going to be seeing them running mad. And would you wish to see your running mad? Definitely I say no, and we also need to ensure that we continue talking to our loved ones. And Strong Minds is a social enterprise founded in 2013 that treats people that's of depression, low-income women, and also adolescents in Africa and America, also areas there. And this is something we also are yet following up on. And experts agree that there is an urgent need that's for concerted efforts to address the diverse drivers of mental health problems and provide solutions that is to those affected. And this is something we are saying. And statistics emerging from summit that's of statistics emerging from the summits, at least 239,672 people were treated for depression in 2023 alone, and more than also all the numbers handled in the previous years combined. And focus on recovery, Uganda's managing partner, Mr. Albert Elua, revealed that access to mental health services in the country is still a big challenge, and in Uganda because of limited staff in public health facilities, and this is also really due to the limited infrastructure. And I believe this is the reality, because if you really move at the mental health unit of Arua Regional Referral Hospital, you will realize that this facility is really very, very much dilapidated. If you move in maybe inside, you will also, the beds are very few, and the beds are also really very old, and that's also really why government of Uganda needs to come up and support these facilities, because mental health is a big challenge, and today many people are also really suffering from depression. And I believe government of Uganda, if at all they can do something to address that challenge, that will be well and good. And Dr. Kenneth Kalani, a psychiatrist at the Ministry of Health, said mental health problems can result from isolated inconsistent reactions to stressful circumstances in life, such as also really hardships, and accessing basic needs such as food and other social welfare, and also really paying school fees could be the one resulting to that is mental health. And today we are saying, if at all you are feeling depressed, you need to have people at least you can talk to, and these are people whom you can confide in, and also really reach out to them in case you are having any problems. And we also do not expect, we not expect people whom we confide in also to open out, because if I confide in you and I come out with my problem to you, I also do not expect to listen from somebody out. And that is why we are saying you need to have people also really who keep information as confidential, and these are people whom once we confide in, definitely they also need to keep those information confidential, because these are information that we need your advice for. And that is also really why we need to have people whom you call, maybe they could be friends, they could be family members, they could be that is already counselors, and that is all why we need to work with people, so that's already the issue of mental health is kicked out, because mental health remains a great challenge where many people are today going through the cases of mental illnesses. Because if you really see how many people are running out or maybe running mad, this is a clear maybe cases of mental illness, and which is really very, very much on the rise. And this is also a reason as to why we want to see all these tendencies being brought down. And Dr. Lukwata said the integration that's of mental health in that intervention is a top on the agenda, and they also need to look forward to addressing these concerns. And that's something we are yet following up on. At the end of the day, we are going to be also informing you of that. I don't know what you as the viewer has maybe about that, but before that, let's maybe check on through some of your comments. If I can be maybe briefly go through some of your comments, we still have many here, but briefly can be maybe sample them, and that will also maybe share an idea on us, because you as the viewer definitely also really can maybe participate and also really share your ideas, and your opinions are highly welcome, and we do not condemn them, but maybe once we're sending them, let's ensure that we respect the other rules, so that also we do not infringe on other people's rights, and we also do not also really condone. That is also really people's ideas, people's opinions, but what we condemn is rather also really being also really abusive there, and that is also a reason as to why we may not be able to go through your comment. If at all, it is very, very much vulgar, and that's really what we also need to warn you about. And that is the reason as to why you need to be part of the show. And the Kokoliriko Live is actually each and every mornings right on Western Television to inform you and also really keep you updated of what is happening. And check on the comments. We do have, that is Steve Chikena, who says the satellite signal is not clear, and otherwise thanks for being back on times, and we say thank you so much too, and we look forward to making those maybe those gaps. And this is also a reason as to why we are there, because it is through me and you we have to work together. And we also have Junior Boy saying good morning, thanks for the update, and we say thanks for the watching as well. And that's a reason as to why we are here each and every mornings right on Western Television, Kokoliriko Live Show. And just like these two, you two also still can keep your comments coming through, and we shall be able to go through them in the second hour, which is in the final minutes of the second hour, for which we are heading closer to. And we also need to look out to some of the stories. Uganda clays unable to pay dividends. This is something we are seeing on the past morning. The manufacturers of baked clay building products, Uganda Clays Limited, has reported that a net loss of that is shillings 2.28 billion for the year ended December 31st, 2023, citing operational disruptions and lower production volumes as key contributors to the decline. And this is something we are following up on this morning, and this is something we are seeing, and you too also already, you could be part of that, because both benefit, both direct and indirect, because we have so many people who are working, that is with the companies. For instance, as builders, we have people working as drivers. These are all people who are working both direct and indirect in line to that. And the loss that is a 217% decrease from that prior, that is also really a period that's between shillings 4.2 billion, has led that the companies forego paying a dividend. That's for the year, and that's something we are saying. And UCL is listed to Uganda Securities also extend the total revenue for the period dropped that 17%, that is to shillings 30 billion, down from that is 36.6 billion 2022. However, overhead costs also really we are trimmed, that is by 10%, that is to shillings 12.2 billion, from that's from 13.5 billion to management strict that's cost management, and the reduction also initiatives in there. And this is something we are following up on. As a result, production volumes of roofing tiles in the first quarter of 2024 have increased that by 51% compared to the same period in the previous year of the company. That's something we are following up, and we are seeing on the past morning, because so many of these companies have often also really faced a number of challenges, more so in the post-COVID-19 era, where we have seen their revenues also really declining. And at the end of the day, this has really affected and hampered the operations of these companies. And this is also really where we are seeing the company failing to pay the dividends. That is according to information we are receiving from the board members in there. And that also really does bring us to the end of the discussions, and really into which is as we summarize the discussions later on with other topics as usual. We also really shall be summarizing with the world of sports, and that brings us to the end of that discussion, that topic, as we come back shortly with other topics and also really what is happening in the world of sports. And remember, yesterday we did see games going on, that is right from the region and internationally, and we shall be giving you that. And later on, that's from 2 to 3 p.m. Owen Zaga together with Linda Susie will also really be in here. That's for the whistle time, and that is the reason as to why for you to also really be part of, because they will be giving you that is what we call the comprehensive analysis and detailed information there, as we give you the highlights and updates on what is happening in the world of sports. But for now, let's first have this short commercial breather, and we continue later on.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
52 games live only on Star Times. Star Times brings you Africa's biggest football tournament, AFCON 2023 live in English and Luganda commentary. Starting January 13, don't miss Mo Salah, Sadio Mane or Nana. Lead the hunt for gold as they take center stage. Renew your Star Times subscription today and enjoy all 52 matches in HD live on Sports Premium and Sanyuka Prime. Star Times, the official broadcaster of AFCON 2023. This message is powered by Techno, the official sponsor of AFCON 2023.
West Nile TV, lighting up the region.
Alright, welcome back from that short commercial breather, and remember today is also Labor Day. It's also what we call the Workers' Day, and I know it is maybe a public holiday for somebody who is not working today. You could be watching us right now at your home, maybe from the comfort of your sitting room, and that is why we say we are here each and every morning to keep you updated. And remember, this day is actually celebrated, and the Labor Day, also known as International Workers' Day, is commemorated every 1st of May, and this is a public holiday in many countries worldwide, and covers that is and happens on that is May 1st. And many countries also already will be celebrating that day. And this day is also actually celebrated. That is where we also went to see businesses closed and offices also really as well closed. And this is also to honor the workers. And you as a worker, maybe who is today home, definitely we say we are here to keep you informed and updated of what is happening. And we say Happy Workers' Day because today is your day. And that is also really a day where you must also really honor your sweat, because maybe if you really want to celebrate a day, you must also really enjoy it very, very well. But when we say about enjoyment, we are not saying do not go there and start drinking what you have been working for in the past month, because I do understand that it's also really where we are seeing many people have already received their salaries, and the day comes on 1st of May, and that could also be a challenge for those who have acquired the money, and they will feel that yes, I've been working for the last 10 years or last 2 years, and maybe the last 30 days I've now acquired my money, and it is also my money, and I've been working since it's Workers' Day. I must drink the money all, and I must eat it with everybody. And we are saying no, you have to save that money, and you have to enjoy the day with a lot of caution and also with a lot of precautions. That is a reason as to why we are saying that day is actually yours. But much as it is your day, we also need to ensure that we celebrate the day with a lot of caution and with a lot of vigor in there, so that also really we do not also really maybe fall victim to what we are also talking about here, the law. For those who may also not be able to abide by what we are saying, and then definitely you may also really see yourself falling prey to breaking the law. And now let's look at what is happening in Ginger, where 3 shillings 56 billion government projects take shape. And this is also something we are seeing in the papers this morning. And for the past 2 weeks, refurbishment, that is of the 3-star Crescent Crane Hotel in Ginger City, has gained momentum. And the Uganda Hotel and Tourism Training Institute, a spokesperson, that is Daniel Kazungu, said this may have been a result of reports of slow progress, and that's something we are seeing on the papers this morning. And the UHTTI principal Richard Kawere also acknowledged that massive progress, calling for quick finish of the project started that is way back in 2018, and the hotel is also expected to skill tourism sector and also really sector labor. That's of course that's also really to meet the world-class standards, and it's also refurbishment that has 50 bedrooms, and they remodeled and also really various types of equipment installed, also really signaling intervention, that's a facility to also regain its glory. And that's really what we are seeing happening in there. And really want to see more of these hotels being able to be developed in there across the world and across the region, because some of our hotels are still below standard, and that is also a reason as to why Uganda Tourism Board and as stakeholders also need to ensure that facilities also are developed. Because if we see what is happening in Mariokolo, particularly in Ajay Game Reserve, we are seeing the restoration of the game facility, and definitely that calls for a hotel, maybe a 5-star or 3-star hotel perhaps, and that would also really help attract more tourists, and so that's also really each and everybody from that area can also really get to benefit from that maybe intervention there. And a glimpse that is into the interior works shows that all efforts are being made, that is to have the shillings 2.45 billion World Bank funded project commissioned, that is in June this year. Construction works are being undertaken, that is by Rocco Construction Limited, while Arch Design Limited are the project architects, and Rocco Construction Company Limited chairman, that's Mark Collier said they are at the completion stage of the additional floor, which he noted also is currently at 78% done, and want to complete their part, that is by the end of June. And Arch Design Limited Construction Limited Arch Director Richard also Tiare said the current works for the additional floor at 80%, while the general project stands at 90%. He explained the original when they did the design, they also really had to phase out the additional floor due to planning gaps, and that's really a reason as to why there was a slight twist in the design of that hotel there. And journalists understand that the additional floor was incorporated with funds also where the funds were unavailable. And Tiraba said, however, they are currently also doing installation of various types of equipment ranging from kitchen facilities, furnishing, and also really furniture, interior design, and general equipment, so that also really the hotel is fully functional by the end of also really its time for commissioning. And Minister for Tourism, Wildlife, and Antiques, Colonel retired Tom Butime, also really who was also in Ginger City to check on the progress, said the works are great progress, and that's the reason as to why we need to ensure that facility is developed, and that's the reason as to why we want to see that facility well developed. And it is further hope that it will attract more local and international tourists to Uganda. And the permanent secretary in the Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife, and Antiques, Dorin Katusime, said during the groundbreaking last November, and construction works also of the projects, which is expected that to cover 3-kilometer radius, started way back in January 18th, with works being also undertaken by Excel Construction Company. These are already what we want to see, and we want to see more of these developments happening elsewhere and across the region, and that's also what is happening in Jinja. And we want to see the same facilities also already being developed in Western Sub-region. That would also really make our tourism sector, which is still very, very much low and behind, also developing at the end of the day. And that's something I want to also see maybe being developed in there, that would also really help our tourism sector develop at the end of the day. And now moving on from that, let's see what is happening maybe in Rwanda, where Britain sends first voluntary asylum seeker to Rwanda, which was really reported on the Sunday newspaper yesterday. And that's something we are seeing on the this morning. And Britain has sent its first asylum seeker to Rwanda under a voluntary scheme. The Sun newspaper reported on Tuesday and saying the unarmed migrant was flown out of the country on Monday, and that's something we did see yesterday. And the voluntary scheme is a separate that's to force deportation and program that Britain is seeking to embark on in the next few months, and seeking to deter asylum seekers from crossing the English Channel in small boats. Sorry, we have also seen many people over the years raising concern over the same issue, where we have seen people already moving as illegal migrants over the water bodies and using these small boats, which has only come with this negative challenges, where we have seen sometimes people drawing after the boats capsizing in there, which has also been posing a risk, and coupled with the issue of population increase in the Great Britain. And now Britain is also really trying now to move away from the people. That's also to decongest people from living there, and now they are intending to move the people to Rwanda, where Rwanda is now working towards solely addressing that concern, that is of the increase in population. And that's something we are seeing under the voluntary scheme. Government has said it will pay asylum seekers up to £3,000, which is also actually about $3,746.60 each, to move to Rwanda to help the backlog of refugees who have arrived in the country in recent years. We have often seen people also really moving more so from the western parts of the country, moving that is to the Great Europe to search for greener pastures, and which has also often posed great threat that is also to their lives, where we have seen at times people drowning, where we have also seen people also really being able to sort of be deported. And this is to avoid deportation, and now the voluntary asylum seeker is also really there to help people move away from where they are, that is to their original country, maybe also to Rwanda. We have seen these migrants, for instance. We do understand most of these people are from western parts of the country, maybe parts of the world, and that's Western Africa, where we have seen people also really moving in Europe as maybe asylum seekers. And that is also why, where coupled with the issues of the increase in population, where life has also not been well there, because sometimes people move searching for greener pastures, but once they get there, the life is not what they expected to move forward, and they result into criminal activities, which have also led to some of them being deported. And really, that is also to avoid that. Now the government is saying they are going to be working towards also really working also really with the issue of voluntary seeking, and also really maybe deportation. And that's why Rwanda was able to also really receive that also there yesterday. And now moving away from that, as we are remaining with about 2 minutes, now let's sum up the discussion as always with what is happening in the world of sports. In some of the games that we have played yesterday in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League, we did see URA drawing with Busoga United, and the game ended at 0-0. We also did see Mbarara City also really playing to a goalless draw with that is Chitara Football Club in there, and that also keeps Chitara still on top of the log. And today we are going to be seeing another exciting game that is also really, I must say, a must watch for somebody out there who loves Uganda football. And this is between Bull Football Club and what we call Sports Club Vipers, and that's something we are going to be seeing at the end of the day. And now looking at some of the maybe on the table standings, we are still seeing Kitara Football Club on the top of the log with 48 points, just a difference of 2, as Vipers Sports Club comes in the second place with some few games to end. And Bull, which is also going to play today, is in the third place with 46 points, and also they tie with that Vipers Sports Club. And SC Club, Sports Club Villa is on the third and is on the fourth place with that 45 points, as NEC Football Club is on the fifth place, and this is with 45 points, and KCCA comes in the sixth place, and that is already with also what we call 39 points. And these are the games we are going to be following up tonight. And the game that I must also remind you that is a must watch is the game between Bull Football Club and Vipers Football Club. And unfortunately, our clubs are no longer there, and that will also really maybe help us also understand why we need to be part of the games, and that would also really be very well. And yesterday in the world of European football, we also did see the game between Bayern Munich and also Real Madrid ending out to a 2-2 also goal draw there, and that's something we did see yesterday. And tonight we are also going to still see games in the finals, semi-finals, and that's between Borussia Dortmund and also Paris Saint-Germain in there. And that game also will be coming tonight, and they will be determining maybe which teams will be proceeding, that is to the finals of the UEFA Champions League. And remember, these games will be coming tonight, and later on the whistle time, that is 2 to 3 p.m. Owen Ezaga together with Linda Suze will be giving you maybe some of the weaknesses as to why the teams failed to win last night's game, and really how maybe for those who love betting, maybe which teams will be winning tonight, and the team will be here, that is from 2 to 3 p.m. And that does bring us to the end of the show. And for those of you who watched us right on satellite, that's on StarTimes, we do understand we are back, channel 477. We thank you so much. And for those of you who streamed us online on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, we also say thank you so much. And really up next is the news bulletin Lubarati. But before we get to give you that, day also really going to be coming later on, and that is also something that we also want to ask you as the Lubara who is out there to also really be part of the show. And this is where I want to say Camilo Lubara Neani, Ledimi Teola Lubara Tisira, Mukula Lawrence Nieji, Midia Ndekindene, Ma Pasani, Amania Madrusi. Up next is the news bulletin. Stay tuned for the rest of the programs that may follow.